All right, the 49ers with both Brock Purdy and Mac Jones on this team, both playing good football. They've got the best situation at the most important position in the entire National Football League. But first, how about the most LA? I did not ask for this yesterday. We went to Dante here in Beverly Hills, and it came out with this. I mean, LA is a 49ers city. As you can tell, the staff at Dante and Beverly Hills likes the 49ers, just like the entire crowd at SoFi Stadium wears red. That really, really good pizza at Dante and Beverly Hills, by the way. But the espresso martini surprise at the end came out with a 49ers logo. I'm off to the airport right after this here in LA, but figured I'd share that with you. I'm also going to share this with you. This is the article up on the San Francisco Standard, came out this morning. Grades for the 49ers. Yes, of course, Mac Jones with the solid A. Watching the tape, Mac only put the ball in danger once. Late, right before the Eddie Pinheiro field goal. Didn't see the underneath linebacker. That can happen when you're trying to pick on the middle of the field with a lot of the crossing routes that the 49ers like to run in between the numbers. And the Rams had some pressure on him, and Jones just really wasn't sure how he should layer the football, got knocked away by the linebacker. It was the one time where you held your breath as that ball was flying through the air, watching from the press box, seeing the trajectory. Otherwise, and this is insanely impressive, Mac had 49 throws, 56 dropbacks, 86 plays, 56 dropbacks, 49 throws, not a single giveaway in that football game. Now, of course, the 49ers try to minimize that by getting the ball out very quickly. He was under 2.5 from snap to release, but this was the game plan. This is the same game plan that they employed with Jimmy Garoppolo against the Rams in 2021, 2022. This was the 49ers' one path to victory. They had to protect the football. I would even say hog the football. They did that, 35-plus minutes of possession. They had to get a couple greasy turnovers on the defensive side of the ball, and they had to win on special teams. Just look at this right here. Let's get the throw chart out again for Mac Jones. See how short that was for everything, except for this is one of the deep outs. I think one to Demarcus Robinson, one to Kendrick Bourne here on the left side. Those were past 15 yards downfield. Those are the only two completions past 15 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. Everything else, Mac just lived here on the short left side. And they started developing some yak again. That's something the 49ers haven't done as well over the past couple of years. Kendrick Bourne on that first 30-plus yarder, yards after the catch, get the ball out quick, beat the pass rush, hog the ball with a high completion rate. And that's what Kyle not only wanted, but needed to win this football game for the 49ers. So the way you look at it now is that Brock Purdy has all the time in the world to get this thing right. Right? They didn't have good options entering that game against Jacksonville. The 49ers were looking at an injured Brock Purdy coming back from the toe injury, feeling good in practice, but they weren't sure how it was going to respond in a game. And in a game, it could obviously get worse because you're moving at faster speed, you're planting, the drive is harder with the adrenaline. But Mac Jones was more hurt than Brock Purdy entering the game against Jacksonville. So the 49ers just went with the less injured quarterback against Jacksonville and Brock Purdy. We covered that all week. Brock was less limited than Mac in practice. Hold your breath. Hope that Brock Purdy gets out of that game fine. He obviously had a lot of soreness after the game, ruled out the Thursday game entirely on artificial turf against the Rams. Fortunately, by that point, Mac was healthier. And Mac then played really well with the pared down short passing game plan, built to hog the ball for the 49ers. All good for San Francisco. That's according to the plan. If you've got two quarterbacks, which I think you need in this league, especially on a Thursday night game, if your starter on the Sunday prior to that was coming in with a pre-existing condition and he felt bad after the game, that's why you signed the QB2. Good investment on Mac Jones's part, or good investment on the 49ers part in Mac Jones. Now you project this forward and you say, well, if Brock has said, and we talked about this last week, Brock has said that he felt better after this Jacksonville game than after the Jacksonville game than he did after the Seattle game where he first injured the toe. So after the Seattle game, let's just compare things in our heads here. After the Seattle game, he missed 2 games. He missed New Orleans and he missed Arizona. But he feels better this time. So theoretically, maybe he only misses 1. Maybe he only misses the Rams game. That being said, they don't want the same thing that happened against Jacksonville to happen again if they can help it, if Mac is healthy enough for the 49ers to avoid that. So maybe he misses a little bit more this time. Maybe he misses 2+. Maybe it's 3. I don't know. That's why they call it week to week, and that's what we say that toe injuries are tricky. I think that it incentivizes and behooves the 49ers are incentivized to see this through to a full or close to full healing for Brock Purdy, if that is possible within the scope of the near term and the regular season. And based on the original prognosis, they're talking about the side of the toe, I think was the descriptor that Kyle Shanahan used. The fact that he was able to get out onto a game field after 2 games missed, not after the full 5 weeks missed. The 49ers do think that this thing can heal more quickly than something that would be on another part of the toe. So the turf toe injury that obviously it would be more difficult to come back from. They think that this is on the less severe side of the spectrum. But the glory of the situation that the 49ers are facing is that you have Mac Jones, probably the most tailor-made backup for Kyle Shanahan, waiting, ready, and capable to bridge the gap between now and whenever Brock Purdy can return, period. And I think if you look at the state of the league right now, you look at the fact that somebody like Joe Burrow with a much more severe turf toe injury had to have surgery, out 3 months, maybe the entire season. If the Cincinnati Bengals had a better backup situation, their season wouldn't be circling down the toilet right now. But with Jake Browning in there, it's not looking good for them. So the 49ers have a much, much better situation than anybody else I can think of in the entire NFL who loses their starting quarterback, except for possibly the Los Angeles Rams, who have got Jimmy Garoppolo as their backup. That's a pretty damn good backup situation as well. And it just so happens that the game plan that the 49ers used the other day was one that they used with Jimmy Garoppolo against the Rams. And Jimmy there was there to see it for the 49ers. Mike was able to put the numbers in a nice side-by-side, which I'm going to toss up on the screen here. This is going to really illustrate what Jones brings to the table and what Brock Purdy brings to the table. One is a starting caliber explosive quarterback in Brock Purdy, and one I think is the ideal backup. I can't think of a more suitable quarterback room for what Kyle Shanahan is trying to accomplish. So we got this here. Let's drag and drop. Let's get this up on the screen. So these are performances against the Rams, but 4 years apart. So on the bottom, you've got Jimmy Garoppolo in 2021. 49ers were underdogs against the eventual Super Bowl champion Rams. 49ers, I think, were at 3-5. So essentially a must-win game at Levi's Stadium. at the top, the 49ers won the must-win game down at SoFi, but the 49ers were playing with a skeleton crew, so they were underdogs against the Rams again, facing a ferocious front. How do you find a way to cobble things together and win the game? Well, tell your quarterback to execute a game plan filled with short throws off of quick releases. So this is Jimmy Garoppolo in 2021. Look at this. Average depth of target, only 6.6 yards. In comparison, Matthew Stafford's average depth of target was much further down the field, 8.3 yards. Now go to Mac Jones in this 2025 game. Average depth of target, 6 yards. Now the discrepancy between him and Stafford, because Stafford was really, really pushing the ball downfield, was very, very big this time. 11.5 for Stafford. I mean, the Rams were playing this game as a track meet when they could, and the 49ers wanted to keep this methodical ball hogging. They wanted to keep it short. But look who was more efficient per play and in totality between Mac Jones and Matthew Stafford. Mac Jones. Look who was more efficient a few years ago on fewer snaps, though, because the 49ers had more of a run game. So Jimmy Garoppolo only had to drop back 22 times. That was much better for the 49ers. But Mac had to do what he had to do. He had 56 dropbacks. But look at this. More efficiency for the 49ers despite throwing shorter down the field. You could even go to QBR. Garoppolo had a fantastic night back then in 2021. Mac Jones, a better night than Matthew Stafford in QBR, 74-70. That is ESPN's QBR, by the way. That is not quarterback rating. That is the proprietary formula, which tells us a lot more about a quarterback's performance. So the fact that the 49ers were able to get that, I mean, Garoppolo was a starting caliber player for them back in that 2021 season. I mean, he was for several seasons for the 49ers, and he was able to execute those game plans for Kyle Shanahan when they had their backs up against the wall. The fact that the 49ers were able to get that from a backup with other backups playing is certifiably insane. I mean, and I obviously factor a lot of that into my grades article up here on the San Francisco Standard. Now, a lot of people want to compare Purdy and Mac Jones. And you know, sure, we can compare them for fun, but these are two very different styles of quarterback. And as I said a little bit earlier, one is perfect for QB1 and one is perfect for QB2. There have been a lot of really, really bad takes, some coming from people who have played the quarterback position before. I think it was Orlovsky on ESPN saying that if, and I'm not sure if it was him that said this, so I don't want to quote him, but it was somebody, it was one of the talking heads on TV saying that Mac Jones plugged into the 49ers offense would look just like Brock Purdy. Well, Mac Jones has been plugged into the 49ers offense, and he doesn't look like Brock Purdy. These are two, again, very, very different styles of quarterback. Now, what matters most is the end result. Where does the efficiency end up for each of these quarterbacks? That's how we can best compare them. So I'm going to find the efficiency chart right here. This is going to be just from Ben Baldwin's website. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger on the screen so everybody can see it. So this is not adjusted for drops, which Brock Purdy's been hurt a lot by drops, but this is just expected points added per play. This is looking at how effective each of these two quarterbacks has been over his drop back so far this season. Brock Purdy has been number 8 in EPA per play. Mac Jones has been number 12. Jones, I think, especially since he just faced his strongest defense, the Rams, could be trending if the 49ers schedule softens up and he still gets to continue to start. If Brock Purdy isn't fully healed yet, Jones could be trending into the top 10 as well. Brock Purdy's 2 games have come against 2 of the best defenses in the NFL, in the Seahawks and the Jags, and he's had the toe injury for most of both of those games. He got hurt in the first half of the game against Seattle. So what you see here is the 49ers have a chance at having 2 quarterbacks in the NFL's top 10 in efficiency. 2 guys in the top 10 in efficiency. Like, I hope that people understand how special that is. Back in the 80s and early 90s, the 49ers had Joe and Steve. Especially once Steve figured it out under Bill Walsh. Yes, he was a top 10, top 5. He was a top 1 efficiency guy by the time that he retired. But the 49ers had 2 of the very best in the game on the same roster. But that was back when there wasn't a salary cap. It is borderline impossible to have 2 top 10 efficiency quarterbacks now in the NFL. And you've got to get a little bit lucky for that to happen. Now, the way it happened with the 49ers is that we all know the Brock Purdy story. Surged to number 1 in efficiency in 2023, the last time that he was healthy and the team around him was healthy. He was healthy for most of 2024. Well, not all of it. He was dealing with something in 2024, but it was mainly the team around Brock Purdy that was completely decimated. But we all know the Purdy story and how he's morphed into this excellent quarterback, QB1 for the 49ers. They paid him this offseason. Mac Jones, though, has taken a more roundabout route to his recent success. He was drafted by the New England Patriots in 2021 after his name was linked to the 49ers and all the pre-draft rumors. We could talk about that in a little bit. Went to the Pro Bowl his first year with the Patriots, was actually executing the system at a fairly high level for New England. But then things backslid for Mac Jones, and he played his way out of New England. Had to play last season as the backup to Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. And even though he did have some time there, he wasn't all that great for Jacksonville last year. Found his way to San Francisco as a backup, making decent backup money, but nothing close to starting quarterback money. A few million per year for Mac Jones, and that's it. So Mac's struggles over the course of most of his NFL career up until this point actually allowed the 49ers to bring him in at a rate that fit under their salary cap. So I said it's normally impossible to have this type of efficiency from 2 quarterbacks, but if you could find a guy with some ability and for whatever reason get him at a discount, and we just explained how the 49ers were able to get Mac Jones at a discount, you can have both of them. Now, Nick Saban was on the Pat McAfee show, and he was talking about Mac and the parameters under which he succeeds. And it's a great, great interview. And the last 2 minutes, Saban has a great nugget about Mac Jones. And my friend Harrison, he was able to paraphrase this. And he said, last 2 minutes is a Saban interview with a good nugget about Mac being very smart and how he thrives when he is told exactly what to do. And now he's finally being told exactly what to do, which he can go and execute. And this was not happening. Saban didn't say this part, but I think that it's very clear. This was not happening at his prior teams due to incompetent coaching. Well, the 49ers have the opposite of incompetent coaching. The 49ers have maybe the best in the league with Kyle Shanahan. And we've talked a lot about how Kyle Shanahan tries to program his quarterbacks to be extensions of himself. Well, look at the game plan the other day for Mac Jones. It's so eerily similar to what they did against the Rams with Jimmy Garoppolo when they had to pare things down. It is Mac. We are scheming things up. You are going to distribute the football. A lot of these throws are going to be first read, get the ball out in under 2.5 seconds throws to cover an offensive line which does not have the benefit of a good run game. They're going to be pinning their ears back, rushing hard against this offensive line. Mac, this is what you have to execute. There's not going to be a whole lot of freewheeling. We need you to get the football to these spots at these times, period. And according to Nick Saban, that is what Mac excels at. Now, is that good enough to win the 49ers a Super Bowl? No. And that's why they didn't pick Mac Jones in 2021. The 49ers needed a higher ceiling from the quarterback position, especially through the route of quarterback mobility, to be able to beat some of these pass rushes when you cannot have a perfectly schemed attack like the one that the 49ers were able to execute on Thursday. Over the longer course of the season, enough surprising stuff is going to be thrown at you to where you cannot just run out the Thursday game plan over and over again. The 49ers have already seen this work out in the past, which is, again, why they made the aggressive trade up in 2021 to draft Trey Lance. Obviously, that didn't work out for all the reasons that we've already talked about. This is not a show about Trey Lance, though. This is a show about the guy who succeeded Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, and a show about Mac Jones. But you go back to what they didn't pick in 2021 to be their starter in Mac Jones. He's now their backup. The actual QB1 whom the 49ers have paid, Brock Purdy, brings the traits to the table that the 49ers need to be an elite offense. One of these two QBs can move very well. That's Brock Purdy, especially after his toe heals. One of them is a distributor, pure distributor. The 49ers obviously like the distribution capabilities of Brock Purdy, but the off-schedule capabilities that he brings to the table with his elite short area movement capability are what sets him apart, are what the 49ers can ride to being an elite offense once they get their guys back this year. So Mac Jones bridges the gap to Brock Purdy. I think that Mac explained it probably better than anyone in the press conference the other day.
I think, they brought me here to play as a backup, and that's my job, and Brock's the starter of this team, and right now he's dealing with something, and for him to go out there last week and play when he probably wasn't at full health, like, he cares about this team. So I'm just trying to get some wins for him so it helps us down the line, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Like, I've been in his position, I've been a starter, and you want your backup to go in there and win, because at the end of the season, that could be the hit or miss between a playoff or not. So
Mac gets it with what he says and also with the style. I mean, did you guys see that suit? I guess he owns over 90 suits, he was telling us the other day. And he says that I like to wear a suit to the game. I think this goes back to Nick Saban at Alabama. Nick Saban would have his players wear suits on the way to the game. But Mac, he didn't mention Saban when he was talking about it. He said, well, I'm going to work, so I think I should wear a suit. I agree. I mean, very, very businesslike. And then he's got that playful demeanor, which is combined with that workman-like attitude. I mean, he's able to combine both on the field, and I think that the 49ers really respond to it. I mean, it's been a long, long time since the 49ers, and, I'm not counting 2022 because that was just such a weird year. They didn't know what they had entering the season. But, they have a backup with so much swag right now that he could be dancing with the guys coming out on the boombox before the game. 2022, the 49ers had everything that they needed at the quarterback room. Well, not really. They lost everybody by the end of the season to injury. But theoretically, they had everything that they needed to get through a season with some availability concerns. But they didn't quite know it at the very start, because first Jimmy Garoppolo was just working off on the side. They thought they were going to trade him. Then they re-signed him to be the backup. And then Trey Lance only made it through a game and a few plays. And then Garoppolo took over, and they weren't really sure what they had in Brock Purdy. They had some hopes for him. But it wasn't until we had the benefit of retrospect looking back at 2022 that we knew exactly what the 49ers had from the very start. Here in 2025, we know that they've got Purdy at QB1 and Mac Jones at QB2. And I think that a lot of people saw this coming from Mac Jones. Like, sometimes I'll say we didn't see this coming. I saw Mac Jones being able to execute a Shanahan offense. That's why Kyle Shanahan signed him. I saw mobility concerns, but I saw distribution potential. And Mac Jones very clearly has distribution potential, and he's completely materializing that potential right now for the 49ers. I mean, I'm just going to keep on going back to this. He is a excellent distributor of the football, and it's exactly what the 49ers needed on Thursday night. So who's still buzzing after that game on Thursday? That was something else. I know I went through the grades yesterday in the video here from Beverly Hills. I've got to head to LAX here in a few minutes, but I did want to share what the grades video looked like. For Mac Jones here, what did we write? Also, SF Data Niners, look at this. The 49ers had absolutely no business winning this game. They had a 2.2% post-game win probability based on the numbers. So you can see why almost everyone, maybe except for Richard Sherman, picked the Rams to win. Because even when the 49ers won, they won so narrowly through such a insanely small margin that you're like, wow, if they played this game several more times, it probably wouldn't work out too well for the 49ers. But that's what clutch is. If you're clutch, you take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you, despite how unlikely that opportunity is. The 49ers did something similar against Arizona in week 3, and now they've done it against the Rams in week 5. I would also say that the 49ers in week 1 against Seattle didn't have a very wide window, yet they were still able to get it done down the stretch against the Seattle Seahawks. As you can see, the game recap here, the Rams lost a lot in the run game with a couple fumbles. Obviously, Alfred Collins with the punch out, the second one. Look how low the 49ers' explosive play rate was. Only 1.2%. I think they only had one explosive all game. I think it was the Kendrick Bourne crosser at the start. So, I mean, this right here, by design, they weren't looking to just rip the ball downfield. They were looking to hog the ball. Hog the ball. That was the hashtag that I used during the game. That's what Mac Jones was asked to do. Will this work to win a Super Bowl? No, you're going to have explosives to win a Super Bowl. Will it work to notch a shocking upset against the Rams on a Thursday night with a skeleton crew? You have a 2% chance, and the 49ers hit that 2%. What you saw on Thursday was special. The 49ers took the one exact path, and there was only one that they had to win that football game. There was no other way to do it than how the 49ers did it on Thursday night. I mean, look at this right here. I've got a good little way to illustrate this for everybody. The EPA breakdown for the 49ers in different phases of the game. All right, getting this up on the screen. Here you go. Offense, really good. They beat the Rams defense, plus 11.1 points. The Rams offense, though, beat the 49ers defense worse than the 49ers offense beat the Rams defense. The 49ers were at negative 12.7 expected points on defense. Okay, so after offense and defense are accounted for, you are actually in the negative. You're going to lose this game if you're the 49ers. This is, by the way, the opposite of the Jacksonville game where the 49ers were ahead after offense and defense. But special teams, 49ers plus 4.6 points. That makes up the difference and put the 49ers into the positive to win this game. Unreal, right? Special teams ends up being the winning difference for the 49ers. Eddie De Niro. You think about the Rams missing their kicks, field goal and an extra point. I mean, and the Rams had a worse ranked special teams unit than San Francisco entering this game. It's also illustrated in this chart right here. This is special teams EPA per play. The Rams, negative 0.09, 49ers 0.09, in a game that went to overtime because the Rams missed a field goal and an extra point. I mean, that literally was the difference between the 49ers winning and losing. Speaking of hogging the ball, Mac Jones, 86 snaps. This is what I wrote about Mac. You could read it here. And I talked about history rhyming. At one point, Jones dry heaved on the sideline. At another juncture, he was favoring his knee in a crumpled heap after taking a vicious hit from Rams edge rusher Byron Young. Then near the end of this 86-snap marathon, Jones's forearm cramped up, so he started eating bananas on the sideline. Kyle Shanahan actually called a play for 49ers backup quarterback Adrian Martinez, but Jones made it back to the huddle in time for the next snap. This was a gutsy performance, evocative of Jimmy Garoppolo's best work with the 49ers, which came when Shanahan employed a similar short throw, hog the ball game plan. Fittingly, Garoppolo watched Jones in person. He's LA's backup. And you've got the numbers comparing Jimmy and Mac. Now, here's the main line. Brock Purdy is still clearly the 49ers' best option at quarterback, thanks in large part to superior mobility, Purdy ranks in the top 5 of adjusted efficiency metrics, despite playing most of his 2 games hurt this season, while Jones has been a top 15 performer. But Jones gives the 49ers a rare luxury: breathing room to allow for Purdy to heal in totality. Totality. Do you get it? Here, let me make this bigger on the screen so everybody gets it. It's a dad joke. In totality, Purdy can heal that way because of Mac Jones. That's one of the reasons why the 49ers have the best situation in the NFL. All right, I got time for a couple questions before I rush off to the airport. Bananas. I guess he dry heaved. I don't know if he actually puked, but I think he dry heaved. He needed the banana. He threw 49 times, 86 snaps, 56 dropbacks. No wonder his forearm was cramping. No wonder he needed to eat some bananas on the sideline. David, could you imagine hearing Greg Pappas calling that 4th down stop? We miss you, Greg. We do miss Greg. I'll be sure to share this with him. Thanks for that comment. Jamie says, it was a crazy game, but why do we have people out there, including fans, trying to create a quarterback controversy when there is none? Brock is the QB1. He's been playing through a toe injury because people aren't the brightest. I think that's very clear to see. And then you have a lot of people trying to capitalize on the fact that, appealing to the lowest common denominator is often effective, and they try to play stuff for clicks. And quarterback controversy creates easy clicks for them because they're incapable of deeper analysis. Appreciate the super chat, but it's as simple as that. We stay away from wastes of time on this channel. Do the 49ers get an edge rusher now? I think so, but only if the team is willing to trade. There might not be a trade opportunity yet at this point. This is coming from the Saints media. There are teams interested in some of the Saints veteran players, and they'll be watching to see who becomes available in the coming weeks. There's a feeling around the league that New Orleans will be open to hearing offers in the coming weeks. But as you can see there, in the coming weeks, not now. Right. So there's a difference between they're hearing offers right now and they'll see in mid-October. And we'd always predicted that mid-October might be the soonest that the 49ers can go ahead and grab someone. That's when the Panthers were willing to sell Christian McCaffrey in 2022. So trade deadline's exactly a month from now. We will see when teams start selling, but I do think that the 49ers are going to be in the market to potentially add some players. Cam Jordan could be a possibility. Remember, he went to Cal across the bay. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. I'm off to LAX. And, we got to show you guys what was last night. Again, I didn't ask for this here in Beverly Hills. It just came out. It was a dessert surprise. A lot of LA fans here, or a lot of San Francisco fans here in LA, as you could tell based on what we saw at SoFi Stadium. Everybody, thanks for watching. We will talk to you from the next destination.